Dear editor, this is the murderer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July.
I want you to print this cipher on the front page of your paper.
He wants his code in the afternoon edition.
Ray Smith, don't you have a cartoon to finish?
The Zodiac killer has come to San Francisco.
Another letter.
School children make nice targets.
He gave himself a name.
Greek, Morse code, astrological signs. This guy's used them all.
I like killing people because man is the most dangerous animal of all.
How does one do that?
I like puzzles. I do them a lot.
Got any hard suspects?
About 90 an hour, come up to around 500.
You got 4 crime scenes, not a single usable print. You can't think of this case in normal police terms.
He's breaking the pattern.
Glenna said you were a cartoonist.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing at a gun range?
I just want to help.
What are you, some kind of Boy Scout?
Eagle Scout, actually. First class. Paul, I've been thinking.
Oh, God save us all.
There was no evidence, Robert.
What do you mean there's no evidence? You have him seen with the ciphers, the military boot prints, the bloody
All
knife.
circumstantial.
Why do you need to do this?
Because nobody else will.
Dave, you made a mistake!
Get away from the window.
Paul, are you okay?
No.
Why'd you do it? You put your face out there for him to see.
Hello? Who is this?
Zodiac was my job. It's not yours. He's still out there, Dave.
Killing is his compulsion. It drives him. It's in his blood.
Jeez.
What?
Squirrels.
This is the Zodiac speaking.
I've begun.
I can give you a lift to the service station.
Do you always go around helping people in the night?
I'm not the Zodiac. And if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Are you sure there's nobody else in the house?
I'm going to watch 30 movies, a movie each day in June. Day 19 of year 8 of movie month, and the podcast will start soon. He's going to watch 30 movies, some good films and some lowbrow. Year 8 of fans, not experts, movie month, and the podcast starts right now. Year 8 of movie month, that much you already know. Year 8 of movie month, and now it's time for the show.
Thrown like a star in my vast sleep, I opened my eyes to take a peep, to find that I was by the sea, gazing with tranquility. Just then when the hurdy-gurdy man came singing songs of love, then when the hurdy-gurdy man came singing songs of love.
That is some conditioned air. Now let it flow. Ooh, it is a warm one out there, folks. Hello and welcome back to day 19 of Movie Month, where today I watched that movie called The Zodiac. You ought to know by now. Well, today is movie 19. It's directed by David Fincher. And that's I didn't think all these lyrics out. Oh, but I'm taking my dog for a walk. Let me turn the AC down a little bit. It's cool. It's cooling down already in here. Happy Saturday, everybody. Yes, it is Saturday. I am losing track of days because I had, as I said the other day, I had a half day on Thursday. I had Friday off from work. Then I have Monday and Tuesday off from work. It's the time of year where if you don't use these vacation days, you lose these vacation days. So we're like, there's a spreadsheet in my office of who's going to be out, when, where. Okay, good. Who's going to be covering what, woo. But, you know, as I've mentioned many times, Monday and Tuesday, I will be driving and coming home from Mystic, Connecticut, which I assume is the setting of Mystic Pizza. I will not be watching Mystic Pizza. I've made the executive decision just now because I kept thinking, I've never seen Mystic Pizza. Should I watch Mystic Pizza the day I go to Mystic, Connecticut? And the answer is no. No, doesn't that movie star Ione Skye? Isn't she in that movie? Well, it all comes back, right? Wait a minute. Was that Ione Skye in this movie? I don't even know if it was, but there's a woman who I assume, that I always think is Ione Skye whenever I see her. It might not have been her, but that still brings me back to today's movie. And, of course, what I've been talking about is how I kind of have been losing track. I thought yesterday was Saturday multiple times. I thought today was Sunday at least twice. But it isn't. It isn't. It's Saturday, June 19th, 2021. And today, as I said, I watched, oh boy, I hope it's from 2007. I'll say 2007. David Fincher's Zodiac, one of those movies that I had never seen. You're going to be like, wait, you haven't seen this movie? Obviously not. And it is one of those movies that has been on the tip of movie month, like on the precipice right outside the movie month purview for years. When I tell you years, I mean it. Like, I would go to the library, or library as I like to say. Sometimes mispronouncing words on purpose is fun. I go to the library, there, I went back to normal, and I would take out DVDs, bring them home, rip them, so I'd have them for my tablet, and I'd watch that on the way to work. I'd watch my movies at work. Now, of course, libraries weren't closed, weren't open, and my work, I wasn't going to work at all. I haven't been to Boston in like a year and a half, since March, so it's not quite a year and a half, but you know what I mean. So there's no reason to go get these DVDs for my tablet for a home, but also at the same time, like, I don't use my computer that has a DVD player in it anymore. DVD players are hard to come by. Like my old PC that's under my wife's dresser. Like, you can get to it. It's under there. If you really need Windows, it's under there. The plug's there. It takes like half an hour for it to friggin' warm up. I'm going to let this car go. You can come out. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, you two jerks. So the computer is under the dresser. I got to boot it up, rip this DVD that takes like an hour to do that. And then I was like, and I did it. So what I'm saying is, I did that for Zodiac. I'm almost positive that PC under that dresser has a ripped copy of Zodiac that was sitting on the hard drive for, I'll say, minimum 2 years, if not 3 years. It's been there, and I just never got to it. I was like, oh, I should watch that. Nah, I don't want to. Oh, I should. No, I don't want to. And then I was peer pressured into watching better movies. Just kidding. Partly. No, please. I'm going to blink the Morse code for SOS. And then Morse spell out CHR. Okay, anyway, as I was saying, I decided this was the year to do it. I said, you know what? It's been sitting there. I keep teasing this movie. This year I was teasing it with my friend that, I will get to it. Don't worry. There are going to be some bad movies in the final 11 films. I promise you. But there'll be some good ones too. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I decided yesterday that today was going to be Zodiac Day. I almost did it yesterday, and then I said, you know what? No, I want to watch this other one first, which I went and watched Stowaway, and said today is going to be Zodiac Day. I realize I've been talking. I haven't talked one goddamn thing about the movie yet. But the point is, it all comes back to the public library. I went to justwatch.com, and I said, where is Zodiac available to stream? And it says you can rent it or view it through something called Canopy with a K, that I kind of am familiar with, but never used. And it turns out it's connected to public library. So you log in, you make an account using your public library card. And my public library is, thank goodness, is part of a consortium of libraries. So my hometown library is not on the list, but the Haverhill Public Library right next door is. And I was like, yes, because actually I like to go to the Haverhill Public Library. I've been there. I'd get comic books there. Fine. But my point is that I am a customer. That's not a customer. It's not a purveyor. That sounds creepy. Anyway, I use the Haverhill Public Library too, so I can definitely say that that's one of my libraries. And they allowed me to log into Canopy and watch today's movie, Zodiac. And I have to tell you, now this movie service, this streaming service, is free. And it has some real movies. And it's got a lot of movies that I wouldn't care about, a lot of independent movies that I just don't care about. But if it's got a movie that I would watch, I would not hesitate of using this service again. Fantastic, as far as no ads. It's not a cut for TV. There's nothing. It's just you hit play and you can start watching. The only limit is that you have 10 movies, 10 streams you can watch a month, and that's nothing because I don't think there's 10 movies for me on there that I even watch. Maybe there's one, maybe there'll be others in the future, but this is a absolute definite service that I will use going forward. I don't even know if it's on my Roku. It probably is. I watched it on my laptop today. But two big thumbs up for Canopy with a K. And yes, so now let's finally talk about today's movie. David Fincher, who I know mostly from Seven. That's the biggest David Fincher film that I am a fan of, and Fight Club, obviously. And I didn't pause it just to make sure that Fincher directed Fight Club. I'm like, wait, I was 99% positive he did, and then I just kind of froze for a second. So yeah. Anyway, yes, obviously Fight Club, Seven. Those are his big, well-known ones. I haven't seen the new Mank. I didn't watch that. He did Gone Girl, which I did not even realize. He does Mindhunters, which is a Netflix show that's friggin' fantastic and very much in the vein of this. In fact, there's a killer they're trying to catch. There's the background. There's this main killer storyline. It's not the Zodiac. I think that was the BTK killer in Mindhunter. But you get a very similar sense of Mindhunter. It's recent. I think the last season was maybe last year or 2019. Same vibe that I get from Zodiac. That's by that I mean an excellent vibe. We're talking, this is in the late 60s, then early 70s, all the way up. It actually finishes in the 90s. But just the look and the tone of the movie is very of the time. I love the opening, the studio kind of, fanfare that you see at the beginning for it was WB and it was Paramount, right? It was Paramount and WB, and they were the old, grainy looking versions. And I know it's very oh, look at that! Look at that! We're retro, but it works for me every time. I don't know if that's fanfare or whatever, but it works for me every time. Maybe this was the first time it was done. I mean, I remember seeing it in Joker, but remember this is 2007, so who knows if people were smart enough or clever enough to think of these things now. Hey, that man, I'm in New Hampshire right now. This dude just went by, no helmet on his motorcycle, and there's no law for a helmet in New Hampshire. But I also feel like you already are missing some brains in that head. So good luck if you have an accident. Anyway, so this is the story of the Zodiac killer, and also really it's based on the investigation of the Zodiac killer. The Zodiac killer is this famous California mass murderer, or not really serial murderer, who would kill young women and some men, really just violently with guns. At one point we see with a knife. And the big thing with him is that he would send letters that only he, with facts only he would know, to newspapers and to the police with these cryptic codes, these ciphers that he, and he called himself Zodiac. And it's like, in real life, this is all based on real people, true stories. They had to obviously dramatize things, to get from point A to point B. You just assume this is what happens, or this is what happens in the movie. It says based on actual case files. So it's the story of, for us, our movie, it's the story of mainly a newspaper cartoonist who enjoys a good puzzle and becomes kind of obsessed with this investigation, played by Jake Gyllenhaal again. This time, he's not a crazy person. He gets a little cuckoo, a little obsessed, but he never goes crazy. He's never a sociopath in this like he was in Nightcrawler. And also co-starring Robert Downey Jr. again. This is also right before he's Iron Man. So it's like, he's Robert Downey Jr. He's a star, but he is not a worldwide mega superstar, until the next year and the going forward. That's when his stardom shot through the roof. It was already pretty high. He was already very famous. Probably the most famous name in this. I'm not sure if Jake Gyllenhaal was, as big of a name as he is now. And Mark Ruffalo certainly wasn't. He was a good actor, and he's great in this. Mark Ruffalo plays a detective. Robert Downey Jr. plays a reporter at the San Francisco Chronicle, and Jake Gyllenhaal plays the cartoonist, and they kind of have a relationship, a friendly relationship. It's just a huge cast of people. It was like, I remember seeing the trailer going, or something about it, going, wow, Anthony Edwards is working still. That's great. All the way, I think all the way back from Revenge of the Nerds and Gotcha, and then of course ER, and then he left ER, and it was good to see him do a movie again. This is 15 years ago now at this point, 14 years ago. But this is, of course, before we get, Mark Ruffalo comes in 3-4 years later. He's the Hulk. Now that's all you kind of, not to say that's all you see him as, but he is very famously, Dr. Bruce Banner. One thing about Mark Ruffalo, he's a great actor, but I never feel like he is fun. I don't know, maybe it's because every time I see his tweets, it's always like, I feel like he's the kind of guy that if you brought him a bowl of tomato soup, he would freak out because they don't know where these tomatoes were sourced from. The restaurant doesn't know exactly, what garden, was it naturally sourced? Was it using the proper farming tools? He seems like that kind of guy who is so I don't want to say self-righteous, but sometimes I'm just like, dude, calm down a little bit. But again, great actor, great performance in this. It's just, I look at Robert Downey Jr., I'm like, man, that guy knows how to have fun. That's me projecting. So he's the cop. Anthony Edwards is his partner. This is a 2.5 hour movie. Do I dare? I don't want to go through the whole plot of this movie. It's too much. What I think I'd like to do is just kind of talk about the movie itself. I love how do you say it? The realism, the groundedness of this film, where there's nothing spectacular happening. It's loaded with dialogue, loaded with investigation. I love when people get obsessed with investigations and then they have a breakthrough. But the scary thing is that this case is still technically open. We get to a point where they think they have the man they have. And the backdrop of this is the cartoonist, was his name Richard Graysmith, I believe. Richard or Robert Graysmith, Jake Gyllenhaal's character. At some point he decides someone should write a book about this. He thinks Robert Downey Jr.'s character should, but that guy kind of drinks and drugs himself out of a job and doesn't want to deal with the Zodiac anymore. Okay, there's a moving truck on the side of the road, and this car's coming, and yep, of course, no problem. I just want to get out of this guy's way. Get out of his way. I'm a conscientious driver. So this guy decides to write a book himself about it. He gets his kids involved, helping him do some of the some of the research. That was a fun little moment. They, like, it's at the detriment where his wife almost, like, doesn't want to be with him. He's already divorced already at the beginning of this movie. He's, like, just kind of a nice guy. He's a Boy Scout. He does a cartoonist. He's pretty straight-laced. But he does get a little obsessed with this, and it kind of takes over his life to the point where he thinks, you know, like, it looks like it might be endangering his family, so the family leaves him. But at the end, I do notice, you know, this little text, the little, like, prologue, which is funny. Canopy was perfect. Then at the prologue, like, the quality went so low that I couldn't read the text, and I was like, no, and I refreshed it, and it was fine. But it says he maintains a great relationship with his kids. I noticed it didn't say anything about him, rekindling things or with his wife, or I don't even know if it was his wife, his baby mama, his girlfriend, Chloe Sevigny. They never had rings on, I noticed. So I don't know if he ever got married. But as I said, there's a huge cast, like faces that I know, names that I know, names that I don't know. They're just faces I see. Even like Mark Ruffalo's wife is June Diane Raphael. I know her from a podcast that I listen to that she's on with her husband and Paul Scheer and Jason. I can't believe I can't remember his name. But anyway, they're in the league together. They're in the league. It's, these two comedians and three comedians really, and they do this podcast about terrible movies, and just seeing her in something so many years ago, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even like. I know she's acted, but I've seen her mostly in like comedic things. So anyway, one of the actors was I mentioned Chloe Sevigny played the girlfriend. And just even like later on in the movie, the last scene, we see this guy who claims to ID the guy we think it is the whole time, and that is played by the guy Jimmy something or other who plays McPoyle in Sunny in Philadelphia. Just seeing all these actors being used, and I like the little bits of humor, like Gyllenhaal's kids helping with the investigation, or at one point, Robert Downey Jr.'s character Paul Avery goes to a now, apparently this is, I'm assuming this is based on truth, goes to a gun range to get a gun because now he's written some articles that the Zodiac now might be targeting him. And so there's buttons that everyone's wearing says, I am not Avery on the buttons, including Robert Downey Jr. wearing these buttons saying he's not him, which I thought was pretty funny. There was one scene that, oh, my dog just slid off. She's fine. There was one scene that kind of like, I don't know what we were getting at here, where Gyllenhaal goes to Roger Rabbit's house, Charles Fleischer, the voice of Roger Rabbit, and he's like, he has a basement, and they said, like in one of the letters, they mentioned that he mentions something basement, and like, not many people have basements in California. He's like, not many people have basements in California, and he says, I do, like, just very creepily, and they were trying to match this handwriting. He's like, oh, I did that. That's my handwriting. Let's go in the basement. Like, why Gyllenhaal went in the basement, I don't know. I was like, I would leave right away, sir. And he didn't. Okay, wait, I'm going to drive around this bicyclist. Okay, I don't want to crash. Hold on, folks. Hold on. Excuse me, bicyclist. The dude, like, standing on his motorcycle behind me. I want to put on my brakes so he crashes. Like, what a douchebag. You're a douchebag. Fuck you back, fucking asshole. This guy's standing on his motorcycle, and he just flicked me off. Why? I don't know. Because he's a douchebag. I hope that's the same motorcycle that I called an asshole earlier in the movie. Boy, did he just fucking take me out of the movie. What the fuck is his problem? Oh, my God. Anyway, where was I? Did I put my blinker on too late for him? He's riding my ass. Oh, I'm so angry right now. Anyway, this movie was really good. Just the amount that, like, it's just so much happening. So many names, so many, like, oh, you got to go to Valencia. You got to go to this, that, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, it's like a lot to take in. a lot happening, but if you just kind of let it happen and watch it, it's very enjoyable. The downside is knowing that the Zodiac was never caught officially and the case was never closed. Oh my God, I wish he'd come back. I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably shit myself, but I kind of want to see what happens. But knowing that, the guy was never caught just kind of lessens the movie. Not lessens the movie, but it there's no like actual ending. There's no like huzzah in the moment where they find the guy. But even with that, I'm thinking, oh my God, this has to be the guy. It has to be him. But you just never know. And then it says that the guy they think it was, they went to go investigate him again, and he died of a heart attack like a couple days before they went to investigate him. So I don't know. Probably was him, but because then they say the letter stopped at that point, nothing ever happened. But it was so much. I feel like I've talked 22 minutes, and half of that time I wasn't even talking about this movie. I had a fear of this. The movie is so long, it's so complex as far as like I'm not going to go through the whole entire plot because it's just so much happening. That guy was riding his motorcycle, standing on it, and he flicked me the bird. White hair, so he's an old man. I hate him so much. I am completely taken out of this by that man who I've never met, who I hate with every fiber of my being. Ugh! My goodness gracious. I want to get a handwriting analysis on him, and you know what it's going to prove? That he's an asshole. Okay. All right, where was I? This is movie month, baby. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. I'm at the park now. I'm parked at the park, ready to go for a walk. So what else? Again, just the performances. Gyllenhaal plays it, pretty close to the vest. Plays a pretty straight-laced guy. You do kind of become obsessed. But you're never against him. You're never against the cops who are like, we have a lot of other things we have to deal with too. But it's amazing how they're like 4 months later, 2 months later, 4 years later, 6.5 years later. It's like just things keep constantly moving. But the thing that I like is they show the murders. They show the side of the Zodiac killing people. But they never, you never quite can tell who the actor is, or I should say, you can never see the face of the guy, and they never. I didn't look up if they revealed who the actor is who does the voice of the guy in the car, or the voice of the, like I'm assuming it's the same guy every time. Now who knows? Maybe they use different people to really throw you off. I don't know if they did. I'm assuming they didn't. I'd like to go and see who the voice is of the actor who plays the actual Zodiac killer in the movie. If it's the same actor they had, probably not, because they want to make it different. But sorry, people are walking by and they see me talking into this fluffy mic condenser. Anyway, I like that they did the, they never showed his face, as I said, and I thought they played the hurdy-gurdy man. I remember something about that being in this movie, so I thought, oh, that's his calling card. Like every time we hear that, we don't hear it again until the trailer, but every time something happens, I'm like, oh, he's hey, can I help you with something? And they don't show his face. I'm like, oh, that person's dead. And I don't know if the woman's Ione Skye or not. I always think it is, but maybe it isn't her. The woman who was in the car with her baby, and he's like, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to throw your baby out of the car. And I was like, Jesus Christmas. But he's like, oh, let me tighten your tires. I was like, oh, that's so nice. No, I didn't think that was nice. I thought, oh, he's going to kill her. And then it didn't happen. I go, whoa. So they just threw us off. Nope, he actually loosened the tire, and the tire fell off. But she got away. She jumped out with her baby, I guess, somehow, crazy, and hit her baby, which was wild. But like he wasn't the best killer, because he would focus on the women, and the guys survived. There was a stabbing. That was the most brutal part of the movie, the stabbing, because it was like, oh, we're just watching this in broad daylight. And the guy dressed up in black and wore a Zodiac sign. He had guns, but he didn't pull the trigger. That's what threw me off. I thought, wait, is that him? Or was that a copycat? Like, he would just shoot him, wouldn't he? why would he tie them up and stab them? Like, he didn't sexually assault the woman. He just tied them up and stabbed them, left the guy. The guy actually survived. So I don't know. I was like wondering, is that a copycat, you know, that they, that we're just, you know, that we are just to assume is him. Like, he's wearing a black suit with the Zodiac sign. That seemed a little too on the nose. So I wonder if that was a copycat. There's a lot of people here, and they are going to keep looking at me because I'm parked right in front of this park. So if I keep my head down and I just talk loud enough, it should be all right. But if I bring it up, it looks like I'm talking into a goddamn squirrel tail. What if I just take it off? Ooh, I can just take it off. But see, I pop my peas every time hear that? That's without the condenser. So I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to turn the microphone this way, and I'm just going to go for it without the condenser. Trying to think what else to talk about. You know, it's just like, again, all the performances were great. You know, David Fincher has this style of just, everything is like, I don't know what to call it. It looked period, just the way it was filmed looked of the time. And it was just a fantastic movie with fantastic performances. I can't think of a better word to describe it. I can't believe I waited this long to see it. That's my fault. But that being said, I'm glad I did. Glad I saw it. I don't know what else to talk about, really. It just Fincher does a great job with dark lighting, creepy, you know, the creepy music at moments, and just like making moments feel very unsettling, even if they're not quite, you know, as unsettling as you think they are. Like at one point, Robert Downey Jr. is like, he's going to look for an anonymous tip, and it's like, well, he's being led to the killer, but no, he actually gets the tip. And then, of course, the whole thing with Charles Fleischer, that whole scene with the guy who held the film, this film canister that had the secrets. I never know who the guy is who calls this person, and you know, he's like, I know who it is. You have to look for Rick McCullen or something like that. And I don't know whatever happened with that name. It turns out that was just a dead end. And then this woman who was at a party with the first victim is in prison, and she remembers a weird guy being at that party, and his name was Ali, and that leads you back to the main guy at the beginning. So that was cool to hear. But again, that guy was never convicted, never arrested for it. He died. And yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, it's been 30 years since that guy was ID'd, right? I actually looked on Wikipedia, and at one point they were going to use DNA in 2018 from the back of stamps, which is something that was used for the Golden State Killer, I think, which is a documentary that I still need to see. But this was on Wikipedia. It said as of March 2021 or March 2020, nothing has come from it yet. So I don't know. But now I am interested in the actual, you know, story, the actual thing. But even though, as we may never find out, we may or we may not. And then was there another, like, they tied this guy to some Italian guy? Was he in the mafia? They thought maybe this guy had something to do with it. I don't know. When I skimmed through Wikipedia, I skimmed through it really quick right before I left for the park. And here I am at the park. I'm a little thrown off from this motorcycle asshole who was like standing on his motorcycle, almost riding my ass, and then flicked me off with his stupid finger. I honked my horn. I said the F word, but that's all that happened. Part of me was like, oh, if there's no one here, I should follow him. What's that going to get me? Well, what am I going to follow him for? To flick him off some more? What's your problem, mister? It's only trouble, and I stay out of trouble. I'm a trouble-free individual who just wants to walk his dog, go to the pet store, and get some nice salads with his wife tonight, which is exactly what's happening this Saturday evening. And with that, my friends, I'm done talking about this movie. I watched it, I loved it, and I can't focus on talking about it anymore. That's real life, baby! So with that, my friends, I say thank you so much for listening and subscribing. Thank you so much for dealing with today's episode, which, again, awesome movie, awesome performances. Awesome direction, awesome stylistic cinematography, all that stuff. I'm very pleased that I watched it. I am a sucker for a nice, just procedural investigation with, smart kind of people doing the best they can at their job and coming through breakthroughs. And I love that there was I think it was a farmer or a retired school teacher and her husband who were like, hey, let's crack this code. And they did. Like, that's so cool. And there's the creepiness of it, the fact that this is a real life thing. So with that, I think I'm done talking about it. Now listen, my friends, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Geek Mentality. The website is fansnotexperts.com. The Facebook page is simply Fans Not Experts. I hate this jerk on a motorcycle, and I dedicate the rest of Movie Month to anyone who knows this man and hates him as well. And believe me, it's most people. His wife hates him, his family, his kids hate him, his job hates him. That's why he goes driving on motorcycles by himself on a Saturday, because he's a loser. Thank you, my friends, and until tomorrow, see you. Happy Saturday, and here is my theme song. This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. Fans Not Experts.